It was a driver that was well known in the early 2010s. The perfect example of a driver receiving rides thanks to his sponsorship backing. At first, he received a full-time ride in the Nationwide Series, but would soon fall to the Truck Series due to poor performances. At first, it was quite humorous to bring up his name, as he tended to be the end of all jokes. But now, it's quite sad and disturbing to talk about this once regular driver in NASCAR's lower series. Fans may have forgotten about him at this point, but after this, his name will be remembered in NASCAR infamy. This is the story of John Wes Townley. John Wes Townley's career in racing started out similar to many others in the racing world. He grew up being a Jeff Gordon fan and started racing go-karts at the age of 10 in 1999. He would be well known around the Georgia and Carolina region thanks to his go-karting skills across multiple tracks. This would allow him to race up in the ASA series and race at some of the most prestigious tracks in the Southeast region. By age 18, Townley would be racing in the ARCA East series, finishing 7th overall in points. Now in today's world of ARCA, that doesn't sound too impressive, but in 2008 when over 40 cars showed up to any given race, getting a top 10 finish was definitely an accomplishment. It was only a matter of time before he would receive an opportunity to race in one of NASCAR's top divisions, which would come true in 2008 when he would run a part-time schedule for Roush Racing in the Truck Series and Rab Racing in the Nationwide Series. Out of those combined 14 races, John Wes Townley would be able to qualify for 10 of those races, and 7 of them ended in DNFs, resulting in an abysmal average finish of 28.2. However, it was his first year in NASCAR, so perhaps he was just too green and needs some more time to improve, right? Well, 2009, many would know John Wes Townley, but for all the wrong reasons.
Give him room inside here. Give him room inside.
You'd given him plenty of room.
Yeah. Unbelievable. That had nothing to do with us far.
In 2009, John Wes Townley would attempt to run the full Nationwide Series season with Rab Racing in the 09 car. Both the driver and team made the jump from the ARCA series at the same time and hoped that they could bring just a little bit of competitiveness as seen in their time in ARCA. Unfortunately, that would not happen, as Townley was getting into trouble on the track rather than avoiding trouble. In Townley's rookie season, he failed to make 6 races in the 2009 season and DNF'd in 10 of the 26 races he ran. His average finish was 27.6 and was only able to finish 23rd in points, which doesn't sound too bad until you realize that the 2 drivers who finished 22nd and 24th were Greg Biffle and Matt Kenseth, and they only ran in half the races than John Wes Townley. This terrible season would not go unnoticed as many fans clowned on the Georgia native for how bad his performance was. At one point, he was known to many as John Rex Weekly, a comedic name for sure, but not one that a professional race car driver wants to be called. Somehow, this performance did pique the interest in one team and signed them on to a full-time ride for the 2010 season, and that was the iconic Richard Childress Racing. How was this even possible? After such a rough season, John Wes Townley would receive an offer from such a top-tier team. It seemed like a foolish move for one of NASCAR's most recognizable teams. Well, I think now would be a good time to talk about John Wes Townley's sponsor and his family background. As you have probably seen throughout the background of this video, Zaxby's has been John Wes Townley's primary sponsor since the beginning. Why was that? Well, John's dad, Tony Townley, was a co-owner of the chicken restaurant brand. This allowed John Wes Townley to have full sponsorship backing thanks to his father, leading to more people disliking the driver, as many saw him as a silver spoon-fed kid getting whatever ride he wanted thanks to his parents' massive income. Richard Childress saw this backing and knew the team could benefit well from the sponsorship. However, RCR would quickly find out why John Wes Townley had such a bad rookie season. 5 races in, and John Wes Townley's finishes were not improving. He would only finish 2 races on the lead lap and would fail to score 1 top 10 finish, a performance that was unacceptable for the longtime owner. Townley would be let go before the 6th race of the season, being replaced by Cup veteran Clint Bowyer, who who was able to finish in the top 10 6 times in just 13 starts. Townley was now running out of options in NASCAR's top divisions and would spend the rest of the season running sporadically with Rab Racing with a best finish of 17th. That is the same equipment that longtime journeyman Boris said would be able to win in at Montreal. John would leave the team in 2010 and would not be heard from again until 2012. In February of 2012, John West Townley would be back in the racing news again, but not for a good reason. It was reported that the then 22-year-old was arrested for DUI after wrecking his BMW. He was spotted by the police, bloodied and intoxicated. This couldn't have come at a worse time, as he was slated to make a return to NASCAR by running the full Truck Series season with Rab Racing. This would immediately suspend the driver, which would force the driver to miss the biggest race of the Truck Series season, the Daytona 250, thus ending any chance for the driver to be a competitor for the championship. But after a return to the second race of the season and running every single one throughout, John West Townley was well off the pace to be competitive, leading to only 2 top 10 finishes and a 16th point finish. A disappointing run to say the least, as John West Townley's average finish was still in the bottom half of the field. This led to the team parting away from each other at season's end, ending a 4-year relationship that stemmed back to John West Townley's first starts in the ARCA Series. The following 18 months after his departure with Rab Racing, John West Townley would attempt to continue his Truck Series endeavors with small budgeted teams. Teams that Townley would join would be Red Horse Racing and Water Motorsports in both the 2013 and 14 season. However, both teams would soon shut down due to financial issues. Even though John West Townley was providing the strong sponsorship backing and his finishes would be improving from previous years, teams could not keep him behind the wheel. During this time, he would also partner with Venturini Motorsports down the ARCA Series to see if he could rebuild his career with a brand new team. But an injury before the Pocono race would end that opportunity too for the Georgia native prematurely. Now out of rides and out of options, John West's father, Tony Townley, would triple down in a last-ditch effort to keep his son racing in NASCAR by making their own team in the middle of the 2014 season. The team would be called Athian Motorsports and allow John West Townley to run not only the Truck Series, but also part-time in the Xfinity and ARCA Series. This not only allowed John West Townley to continue racing, but it also started to make the journeyman to become more and more competitive. Was this finally the moment for John West Townley? Was he finally going to prove all the fans wrong and start winning races? Well, those questions would be answered over a year later when the team would make the huge gamble at Las Vegas Motor Speedway and stay out on a fuel strategy.
And now Townley, half a lap away from his first win, and there goes Peters by.
Peters and Ben Kennedy there was John West Townley. He's over in turn number 4. Here he comes. I think
Can
he
they
can
get
coast.
him? John West Townley, career win, number 1.
Yes.
A win that no one saw coming, John West Townley would do the unthinkable and win at Las Vegas in the Truck Series, proving to many that he was capable of winning races even if no one believed that he could. At season's end in 2015, John West would finish an impressive 8th in the point standings and rack up 9 top 10 finishes, more than any other season before. The start of 2016 would even be better for the team, as they would start off the season with a victory in the ARCA race at Daytona, beating the likes of Frank Kimmel and current Cup driver William Byron. It seemed at this point John West Townley was no longer going to be a driver that people made fun of, as he started to show speed like he never did before, and it seemed like 2016 was going to be the best season yet. Only, it would wind up being the worst for the Georgia native. 2016 would only be known for 2 things for John West Townley: the season that ended his career as a driver, and of course, the infamous fight at Gateway. Townley would show his displeasure with Spencer Gallagher after an accident took them both out of contention. However, the fight wasn't one that many fans would call a classic. Instead, it represented a fight many would see at a middle school lunch period. The fight would be shared with around the whole world and be known to many as the funniest fight in sports history. an image that put Townley right back into the scene of being the laughingstock in motorsports. To make matters worse, Townley suffered a concussion from the incident, leading to him missing the following 2 races on the schedule, inevitably ending his chances to run for the championship. However, that wouldn't have mattered too much, as he wouldn't be able to complete the 2016 season, as he also suffered an ankle injury near the end of the season. This resulted in him missing the 3 final races as well, ending his season with a 17th place finish in the point standings. After this, he would call it a career and announce his retirement from racing in January of 2017, ending a 12-year pursuit and making it in NASCAR. Athenian Motorsports would shut down productions, and we would never see John West Townley in a race again. However, this is not where our story ends. In fact, it was after his racing career where the story of John West Townley goes from unfortunate to downright disturbing. Earlier in this episode, I talked about a run-in with the law that John faced in 2012. Unfortunately, this run-in was a normal thing for the driver. While with Childress Racing in 2010, he was cited for underage possession of alcohol during the Las Vegas race weekend. At the time, Townley said that he learned a valuable lesson from the incident. Obviously, he didn't learn his lesson, as he would be arrested for a similar charge less than 2 years later. After his racing career, the charges would get more severe. In 2019, Townley was charged with 3 misdemeanor counts, including family violence battery after he reportedly threw his wife to the floor, a much more violent crime than what he was charged with in the past. Townley pled guilty to disorderly conduct and was sentenced to 12 months probation. Laura Townley at this point was fearing for her life, and the pair filed for divorce in February of 2021, hoping that she would be safe from her now ex-husband. But somehow, the story got even worse just 1 week after the divorce was finalized.
New details tonight. A former NASCAR driver is dead after police say he tried to attack his ex-wife with a hatchet.
Shooting in Athens left a former NASCAR driver dead and a woman there injured. Athens Clark County Police confirm 31-year-old John West Townley died at the hospital last night.
Police say John Townley showed up to this home on Morton Avenue in the 5 Points neighborhood of Athens and attacked his ex-wife Laura Townley and another man with a hatchet.
Police say Anderson fired several shots from his firearm, striking both Townley and his wife Laura. They were both taken to the hospital where John later died.
On October 2nd, 2021, John West Townley reportedly attacked his ex-wife, Laura Townley, and Zachary Anderson at her home in Athens, Georgia, the birthplace of his longtime sponsor. John West Townley reportedly showed up to the house with a hatchet and threatened to attack everyone within the home. Zachary Anderson, in what had to be in a panic state, would defend himself by shooting John West Townley in the chest and accidentally shot Laura as well. Laura suffered serious injuries from a wound in the abdomen, but would be able to survive. John, however, was not as fortunate, as he would pass away on his way to the hospital at the young age of 31. It was a news story that no one was prepared for. What could cause a person to go from racing in NASCAR's biggest series to an attempted murderer? Many have speculated that Townley's concussions could have led to his violent outbursts, but that seems highly unlikely, as he did not suffer that many concussions throughout his career. Perhaps his divorce was just too unbearable for him to continue life, or maybe just the continual online harassment from the world made him reach his boiling point. Regardless, the result he came up with to attempt to solve his situation was inexcusable and one of malicious intent. Today, no charges have come to any of the parties involved, as it is seen as a self-defense case. But it doesn't change the fact that a life was lost that October evening when John West Townley decided to go to Laura's residence, resulting in what could only be described as the most disturbing ending to a NASCAR driver's life in history.